Hello, everybody. I'm ambivalent about being here this evening. Many thoughts have been going through my head, and some of the conversations I've had this week, people were going away, people weren't sure about the program, and my communications were quite varied. The biggest aspect of the conversations were the fact that the summer basically is over. There are still some warm days ahead. People are becoming refocused, and that's what I would like to talk about this evening. We have been talking endlessly, and I mean that in a positive way, because as I've said to you before, what really is important is the reason we are together, why we are here, what is it that we want, and what role do I play in all of this? I'm very, very fortunate that I had 7 years with Dr. Chu. And I had told him a story about a professor that I had in college. The man was absolutely brilliant. It was a social psychology course that I was taking. And one day, out of the blue, class had not yet started, and I really respected this guy. His name was Dr. Delatour. And out of the blue, he said to me, "Schwartz," and he called me by my last name, "when I come back, I'm going to become the head of the garbage department." Now, this was a man who had countless degrees and awards. Looking at me, and I could see that he was not being facetious. And I said, "Dr. Delatour, I don't understand. I don't think that job would be stimulating enough for you." And he said to me, "The reason I'm coming back as the head of the garbage department is that I will never have to worry about having a job. It will never end. And because of that, I can relax, function in some systematic kind of way, and be assured that I will have security." it makes no difference if, and that's what's important, that you're clear about what it is that you're doing. I have been talking over and over again about the concept of self-love and how that fits in to everything. This was Labor Day weekend. I've had calls through Sunday. I've only had one or two calls today, Monday, but through Sunday, I've had telephone calls from people who are on the program remotely. And one of the wonderful things about that is my telephone rings, I can communicate, we can go through things, and maybe it's because we're not truly face-to-face in the same room. Many people are more open and sharing than at other times. I went away for the weekend. I had these temptations. I'm filled with guilt. I should not have done this. This is what happened and I was tempted. All of which were true from the person speaking with me. And I was amazed at the fact that I had to refocus so many people on what we truly know. First and foremost, I cannot tell you because it was many, but I didn't count. How many people said to me, Dr. Schwartz, I'm really sorry. And regardless of what they said after the word sorry, they were apologizing to me. When I look at that, it says that I am not anything other than for them some kind of authority figure, and that in some way, shape, or form, they have wronged or disappointed me. I need to tell you that except for the fact that it's televised, it's on the computer, how good it felt to me, because I know the name of every person who calls in, because I have to pull up their record. And each of them on a personal basis were telling me that they had in some way disappointed or hurt me, had wronged me. None of that is accurate. I'm the teacher. You are the student. I'm supposed to share with you thoughts and insights and ideas and procedures to get you what you want. And we're doing so in an area that is fraught with emotionality. the power of food will never diminish. That's like saying if there is a red light, you should stop. It is not a good thing. It is not a bad thing. It is something that we all know, but we emotionalize it. And in the process of emotionalizing it, we place some kind of judgment upon ourselves, regardless of when it is, but we're judging ourselves and our behavior. Now let's start over again from the beginning. Some of you are not going to be happy and say, Dr. Schwartz, I've heard it 1,000 times. And maybe you have. But the fact that you are here suggests that whatever it is that you heard, you didn't personalize it in a functional kind of way to get you closer to where you want to be. One of the things I learned a long time ago, and I was very fortunate in that I had teachers, not all of them, who were sensitive to the fact that I was not, and I realized I was not perfect, that I was imperfect. As I got older, I learned more about myself, but I didn't share the fact that I had been a learning disabled kid with dyslexia at a time when there was no insight into that. And because there was no insight, I was treated not because I had a disability, but because I didn't fit in. I can't imagine a teacher wanting me to be in their class. I couldn't sit still. I'd sometimes speak out of turn. I couldn't read. And yet, I sit before you today and say, stop. When you get up in the morning, you get up with the person that you spend the most time with. And the person that you've spent more time with loves you passionately, unconditionally. But if you don't like the person that you get up with, you're getting up with a person with whom you're not happy. Self-love has to do with the fact that when I look at my own behavior towards me, how I treat me is also the way that I treat that other part of me. And if I don't treat me in a positive kind of way, I'm not treating myself in a positive kind of way. You may not say it, but I will. It sucks. And the reason I do not is because I become impatient. I want it to all happen now and be done with it. The holidays are basically over. I did what I did because I did what I did. So, point number 1, let's get out of the judgment game. I want to get up in the morning liking the person that I live with most of the time. I don't have to agree with that person all of the time. I can have discussions with that person. And when I have an open and honest discussion, I learn things about myself and that other person which can help me make my life better. So let's start with getting rid of I'm sorry. What are you sorry about? What did you do when I speak with you and you say, hey doc, I'm sorry. You didn't do anything to me. Oh, but I disappointed you. How did you disappoint me? If I'm going to say you did, I'll tell you how. The way you disappointed me is by believing that I am there to judge you. If I'm the judge, then I'm not the teacher. If I'm not the teacher, it's pointless to be here. What I have learned over and over again is something very simple. The more insight you get, the more experience you have the opportunity again and again to change in a manner which makes you feel better about you or your other self. And the better you feel about yourself or your other self and act upon that information, your life improves. Therefore, some things we have to do again and again and again until we get them right. Now, summer is coming to an end. But we are the center of our own personal world. Now, what does that mean? The infant is the best example. It has no sense of anything beyond itself. So it and the world is totally connected. But how we treat it and the feelings that come from that impact on the sense of a growing, developing self. It's Labor Day. I am the center of my world. You are the center of your world. And if you look at it as having the ability to interact with your other selves, to love yourself. If I get up liking me, my whole attitude towards the rest of the day is changed because I'm with someone and there is no one else. It's just me. I personally do a lot of talking with the other me's. And one of the things that has become more and more true is the more I talk, the more they talk back with me. And there is only one key that I have to remember all the time, and sometimes I lose it. All those other selves are real. They have thoughts, they have feelings, they have ideas, but they are all totally dependent on me. So I am the boss. When you say, "Hey, Doc, I'm sorry," then what you've said is that I am your judge. That's not true. You were the judge. You said, "I'm sorry." You would not have said you're sorry if you didn't believe that you had done something for which you should be sorry. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say everybody who's watching is an adult. That means they're at least 17 years old. Different levels of adulthood and experience, but adult. And so you judged yourself. You didn't own it. And when you are sorry, it's in the past. You cannot change the past. You can learn from the past, but you cannot change it. And if you are sorry, you get hung up on the feeling that comes with sorry, and more often than not, you don't learn about yourself. Simple thing. In almost every single case where someone has called in and said to me, "Dr. Schwartz, I lost a pound, I lost 6 pounds." In every single case, underlying it all is a feeling of accomplishment. Now, many people dissect that because first they say, "I've lost X number of pounds," and then they say, judging themselves. Well, I could have, or I expected, or I'm sorry. So weight loss is a factor in what you believe behaviorally about yourself. In future segments, I'm going to talk about all of the, or as many of the behaviors that I can, to show you how you can improve your overall sense of being. All of us love the feeling of being loved. All of us love the feeling of liking ourselves. All of us like to love because when we love on an unconscious level, we recognize there is something within ourselves that we like and we want to give it. And we wouldn't have the ability to give it unless we had some sense of love within ourselves in order to give. Some of you are saying, I've heard it before. And maybe you have. But if you are looking in and listening, then you are not satisfied with the way you and food interact, and therefore you have not absorbed whatever it is you need to absorb to learn to have more power over it. The older we get, the greater the possibility that we can wrest control. But when we feel guilty, then we're not seeing ourselves in a positive way. You were at a party and you indulged. You were at a party and you indulged. Let's back up just a tiny little bit and ask yourself, did you have a choice? The answer is yes, you did. And what was the choice? To do it or not to do it? And you chose to do it. In and of itself, it has minimal significance. Now, stop and think. Were you unhappy with yourself while you were doing it? Where did the guilt come from? What were you looking to do? The more complex that we make it, the more difficult it is for us to understand. And one of the more difficult things is to be patient in the process of learning and change. That's why I have said to you many times, AccuWeight Loss is not a diet. It is a weight loss program. Whatever you do, that's your diet. We've put a negative connotation. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And the more you do it in a manner that makes you feel good, the more awareness that you have of yourself, and the more you have awareness of yourself, you're more inclined to do the behaviors that make you feel better about yourself. And as you change your behaviors as to how to behave towards yourself, it begins a ripple effect. All of us are basically the same. There are features about ourselves that does have some level of differentiation. But loving yourself, liking yourself, even if, and I'm going to use the word that I hear, even though you say, I made a mistake, you have to stop and say, if I never make a mistake, can I honestly believe that I am perfect? But admitting to yourself that you made a mistake already elevates you. And the more awareness that you have without judgment makes the difference. Therefore, do it again and again and again and again until you get it right. Now, what does right mean? It means I feel good about my behavior, and I like me liking my behavior, so that if I am aware of my behavior and I like the awareness of my behavior, then I move closer to liking the me that makes me feel good when I get up with that me in the morning. And each step along the way, I get to like me better. I've seen some other aspects of it as well. For example, I meet you, and for some reason you say something or do something that offends me. Now, that bothers me because I don't like to feel that feeling, regardless of where it comes from. And so I'm going to actually pay more attention to you. Now, I'm going to make up something. It's a family member. And whenever I see that family member, I recognize that they go out of their way to say or do something, and I can't read them, but I can read me. And I'm very, very, very careful in dealing with that person, because in the past, I've allowed their behavior towards me to take my control away. I feel what I feel. For you to tell me how I should feel says that you want to control me. And I don't care why. Those are your issues. I only know that if I do not succumb to your behavior, I'm happier with me. And since I can't control your behavior, I have to recognize that you have a problem with you, because if you didn't, why would you act towards me in the way in which you do? Now, we can go all over reactivity, how it affects me, what I think, what I do. I want you to keep it simple. I want to behave in a manner that makes me feel good about how I behave. We were just born. It's Labor Day. What's the old adage? On Labor Day, you no longer can wear white pants. I remember that as a kid. Now, I don't like white pants. I like dark pants. And so, I don't have a problem. He, she likes the way they look good in white pants. And so regardless of the fact that there is a saying that you shouldn't wear white pants, some people are conflicted. I like wearing white pants because I think I look good in white pants. But if I do, I'm defying convention, which makes no sense. Whether they're white pants, blue pants, green pants, red pants, they're pants. But society sets up these structures for many different reasons. I'm choosing this, not white pants. Loving myself as the key to everything. I'm not happy with my shape. Therefore, I'm doing something to change my shape. I'm restricting calories. I'm not happy about restricting calories because of the fact that I feel deprived. Already there is a dilemma. I want you to take a step back and ask yourself, do you feel good about what it is that you did? The more times that you like your own behavior, the happier you are with yourself. The more times that you ignore that process, the less you like yourself. Now we're back to the magic protocol. All it is a tool. Summer is over. I always had control, and I still have control. But I know that I have a weakness, and I will succumb to that weakness, and I will not be happy with myself when I succumb. Therefore, I employ the magic protocol, and the moment that I do, I ensure I maintain control, and as I look forward to the future, I know I will have mixed feelings, but I will be happier with myself knowing that I had the power to stay in control of me, and I did something to ensure that I would get what I want. I love communication. Some of you will contact me. Others of you will not. I like what I am doing. Trying to teach you to be happier with the you that you are. So I will continue to do what it is that I'm doing unless I learn that what I'm doing should be done differently. Now, questions. Actually, I took some questions that patients have asked, have written them down, because I see this as educational, whether it impacts on you directly or not. Question number 1. I used to go to an office and am considering the remote plan. How will I get support? The answer is simple. First, the remote program is now patent pending. That means that we have gone through a rigorous examination, and the process has been approved by or is in the process of being finally approved by the patent office, so no one else can utilize it. That should reduce any anxiety that you have. Number 2, there are 2 basic means for support. One is the videos that we produce every week. And we produce them to bring you up to thoughts and ideas to assist you in being more successful. Second is what I used to call the secret Facebook group. It is only open to participating members of the Acu Weight Loss Program. There are no strangers. And people like yourself may have experienced or have ideas how to make your journey in weight loss more appealing and successful. Question 2. I finish work at 6. Is that terrible if I eat at 6:30? Can I make my day eating 1 to 7 instead of 12 to 6? The answer is no. You cannot change 1 to 7 from 12 to 6. And here is the reason why. All of you know that when you begin to break the rules, it becomes easier and easier to break the rules and other rules. Eating food is not the key. This is not a calorie program. It is chemical. And one of the meaningful structures is intermittent fasting. The people who invented this program or created this program were ahead of their time. I have learned that when you stick to the structures and follow them, many wonderful things happen, including weight loss and feeling better about yourself. I had I had all my food and drink, lots of water, but my stomach is growling. Can I have something else to eat? I don't know how I will get through the evening. Number 1. An example I give all the time. It's December. It's the middle of a football game. It's 50 degrees on the field, and one of the players collapses. They put them on a gurney and take them away, put an IV in their arm, and what they are replenishing are electrolytes. Being hungry is really not part of the program. It's not hunger. It's something else. For example, you've urinated so much that you are now deficient in electrolytes. Therefore, the electrical system in your body is not working effectively, and you have symptoms. First and foremost, check to see that your water or liquid indication is appropriate. If you're going to the bathroom very often, it's likely that you're urinating out the electrolytes, and therefore you will have symptoms of hunger. Call your consultant. Call me. Do it properly, and the results are almost always what you want them to be. I have a headache and have a weird sensitivity and pressure along my top row of teeth. Is this program related? Should I change everything? Should I change anything? Just because you have a symptom does not mean it's program related. That's where our consultants, including me, come in. Don't change what you don't know that you should change. And because hunger should not be there after the first week, the assumption on my part would be to look something outside of the program. But you cannot look outside unless you've first asked the questions. Last question. I logged my fruit and veggie days, and my total is 686 calories. Excuse me. Am I eating too much on my fruit and veggie day? Myth number 1. This is not a calorie program. Between the milk, fruits, and vegetables, you have fat, protein, amino acids, enzymes, and fructose. Total basic nutrition. The acupressure prevents your brain from counting calories. So there is no awareness within your system of calorie deficiency. Follow the protocol, and we promise you a minimum of 15 pounds every month. Thank you for listening. Thank you in advance for any comments.